Ogami Jizuzo is a legendary hitman known throughout the underworld for his lethal efficiency and unmatched record. While driving to a target location late at night, he discusses details of his latest assignment with his young handler over the phone. Entering a secluded warehouse using an encrypted keycard, Ogami effortlessly disables security cameras and walks directly into a room packed with heavily armed gangsters. Unfazed by their drawn weapons, he casually lights a cigarette and proceeds to wipe out every gunman in the room with surgical precision. The gang leader attempts to flee down a dark hallway carrying a briefcase containing valuable contraband, but Ogami calmly pursues him. Refusing a desperate bribe, Ogami knocks the boss out cold with a single punch and retrieves the briefcase. Outside the facility, his handler is stunned to learn Ogami neutralized 25 men single-handedly. To celebrate completing another contract, the two head to a local shop for a bowl of garlic-heavy ramen, where Ogami reflects on his solitary lifestyle without any personal ties to worry about. Returning to his apartment building, Ogami unintentionally terrifies a young neighbor with his stern, intimidating gaze. Inside his flat, he gazes longingly at a framed family photograph of his ex-wife and daughter, deeply regretful of how his career as an assassin ruined his personal relationships. While relaxing on his balcony with a drink, a strange, glowing blue wasp stings Ogami on the neck. Pain surges through his body, causing him to collapse onto the floor unconscious. He awakens inside a state-of-the-art medical facility overseen by his ex-wife, Eri, who serves as the chief scientist for his assassination syndicate. After confirming his memory is intact, Eri shows him the preserved wasp that stung him, explaining it was genetically engineered by a powerful pharmaceutical corporation. When Ogami looks into a mirror, he is horrified to discover that the insect's venom has de-aged his physical body into that of a 13-year-old middle school boy. Before he can process his transformation, Ogami receives a call from the syndicate's boss. Rather than benching him, the boss sees an opportunity and orders Ogami to infiltrate Rika Academy Middle School undercover to investigate the pharmaceutical CEO's family. Equipped with specialized glasses containing a built-in camera and earpiece, Ogami puts on a school uniform and attends the Academy's entrance ceremony, joining Class 1E. During classroom self-introductions, Ogami makes a disastrous blunder by stating his primary skill is sniping, leaving his teenage classmates utterly bewildered. Though he attempts to cover up the mistake by claiming he meant survival games, he still ends up labeled as an awkward social outcast. That evening, his handler prepares dinner and sternly lectures Ogami on how to act like a normal student to avoid blowing his cover. When official classes begin the next day, Ogami experiences formal education for the first time in his life, having been raised purely as a killing machine since childhood. As the teacher explains fundamental concepts like negative numbers, Ogami is completely spellbound. Overwhelmed by the pure joy of acquiring knowledge, the seasoned killer sheds tears of emotional ecstasy, realizing that studying brings him a sense of fulfillment he never experienced through contract killing. However, peaceful school life is suddenly interrupted when a bizarre, muscular intruder wearing a panda mask and polka-dot underwear invades the campus, terrorizing two female students from Ogami's class. Observing from a corridor, Ogami debates whether breaking cover to intervene is worth risking his mission. Ultimately deciding to protect his classmates, he creates an improvised smoke screen using chalk and strikes the intruder, only to realize his child body lacks his former adult physical power. When the desperate intruder ignites a stick of dynamite, Ogami draws his concealed handgun and shoots the explosive mid-air, detonating it safely away from everyone. The girls eagerly thank him for saving them, but Ogami awkwardly insists he is just an ordinary student who loves studying. Later, after being added to the class group chat, Ogami finds himself hilariously overwhelmed by the endless barrage of teenage text notifications. That night, Eri contacts Ogami with crucial intelligence. The daughter of the pharmaceutical CEO responsible for the de-aging wasp, Norin Mitsuoka, is enrolled in his very class. Looking across the classroom at Norin the next morning, Ogami realizes his undercover assignment at school is about to get much more complicated. With his new identity established and a dangerous conspiracy looming in the background, Ogami must balance the demands of middle school academics with his secret mission to uncover the truth behind his transformation. As he locks eyes with Norin across the aisle, Ogami prepares himself for the challenges ahead, determined to complete his assignment no matter what obstacles arise. At school, Ogami walks among his classmates, completely absorbed in studying a textbook while maintaining his cover as a normal student. His partner checks in on him remotely, amazed at how dedicated the legendary hitman has become to his schoolwork despite being trapped in a teenager's body. As the intro rolls, the dynamic lives of the characters are showcased, highlighting the contrast between high school youth and the cutthroat underworld of professional assassins. The focus shifts to Norin Mitsuoka, a star student who excels in both sports and academics. During physical education, she easily outpaces her peers, and in class, she reads English with flawless fluency. Watching her from across the room, Ogami realizes she is the daughter of a major pharmaceutical CEO, making her a key figure of interest. Gathering his courage, Ogami attempts to break the ice and talk to Norin by her locker. However, Norin gives him an icy, disgusted glare, branding him a creep and ordering him to leave unless it is official school business. Her harsh rejection delivers a hilarious psychological blow to the former veteran killer. Dejected, Ogami wanders through the shopping district after school. Looking for a place to eat, he stumbles upon a modest traditional ramen shop called Natsukiya. Seeking comfort in a hot meal, he steps inside, completely unaware of who is working behind the counter. To his utter shock, Norin herself emerges from the kitchen wearing a staff apron, serving bowls of ramen to customers. Ogami's mind spirals into chaos trying to figure out why a wealthy heiress is working at a humble noodle shop. Recognizing him, Norin gives him a terrifying glare and quietly instructs him to meet her behind the shop after closing. Despite the intense pressure, Ogami takes a bite of the ramen and is instantly overwhelmed by its incredible depth of flavor. Later, as they walk through the quiet streets at night, Norin drops her tough facade, frantically begging Ogami not to expose her job to their classmates. Norin opens up, explaining that the shop belongs to her beloved uncle. Despising her family's wealthy social circle where women are treated merely as future trophy wives, she wants to earn her own way and inherit her uncle's culinary craft. Touched by her sincerity, Ogami offers genuine words of encouragement and praises her cooking, bringing a bright, genuine smile to her face before she quickly reverts to her cold demeanor. Suddenly, an unmarked black van screeches to a halt, and masked thugs snatch Norin off the street. Acting swiftly, Ogami contacts his tech assistant to trace the vehicle's location. He scales a tall utility tower, taking a high-altitude position to oversee the city and execute a plan to rescue her. With the precision of a seasoned assassin, Ogami calculates the trajectory and fires a specialized tracking beacon directly onto the fleeing van. Once the transponder locks onto the vehicle, Ogami leaps down from the tower and rushes toward the target location. The kidnappers hold Norin bound in an abandoned school building. The lead thug interrogates her, demanding classified information regarding a secret pharmaceutical prototype developed by her father's company. When Norin denies knowing anything, the man begins insulting her uncle's ramen shop, calling it filthy and threatening to destroy it. Enraged by the insults to the delicious ramen, Ogami bursts through the window into the room. To protect his identity, he places Norin's leather school bag over her head. He then lectures the thugs on basic manners before using his lethal combat skills and a heavy social studies textbook to single-handedly dismantle the armed kidnappers. Securing Norin on a rolling utility cart, Ogami pushes her through the dark hallways of the school. As more armed reinforcements flood the corridor, he expertly fires back while keeping the cart moving, ensuring Norin remains shielded from crossfire. Outside, the lead kidnapper attempts a desperate final attack by driving the black van straight at them. Ogami casually throws heavy wooden beams into the vehicle's path, causing the van to flip violently into the air. After lecturing the fallen thug, Ogami uses a mild memory-erasing gas on Norin to ensure she remains unaware of his true identity. The credits roll over glimpses of the characters navigating their strange dual lives, balancing mundane classroom routines with the high-stakes dangers lurking behind the scenes. The next morning, Norin wakes up in her room, discovering faint rope marks on her wrists that prove the terrifying night was not a dream. At school, she approaches Ogami to test if he was her savior. Pretending to be oblivious, Ogami simply reminds her of their secret, asking for a free bowl of ramen with an egg topping in exchange for his silence, which she happily grants. Staring blankly at math equations that make sense again by the boy's nobility, loudly praises his master's pure heart. Their heartfelt meant for girls. His comment is overheard by Ryo's older sister, the president of the experience, words. The following morning, in overpass, as all she wants is a normal school life and genuine friends. After a chaotic chase through the school hallways, Norin, Mitsuoka, and Ogami catch their breath behind a corner. Grateful for his help, Norin desperately begs Ogami to pretend to be her boyfriend. She explains that the overwhelming pressure from suitors and her family's corporate background is driving her crazy. Seeing her genuine distress, Ogami reluctantly agrees to play along, unaware of the madness this decision is about to unleash. Word quickly spreads across the campus that Ogami and Norin are dating, triggering intense jealousy among the male student body. A group of aggressive boys corners Ogami on a high balcony, attempting to intimidate him into breaking off the fake relationship. However, Ogami remains unfazed and calmly leaps off the railing, landing gracefully on a gym mat below to the utter shock of his harassers. Later, in the classroom, Ogami's friends warn him about the danger he has stepped into. Mitsuoka Pharma's groundbreaking research on anti-aging drugs has made Norin the prime target of dangerous underworld factions and elite students known as unicorns. To protect her family's secrets, her father established a rule that whoever holds a special golden fountain pen will be recognized as her official fiancé. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Norin tries to call off the fake relationship to spare Ogami any trouble. But when a pushy student tries to force Norin into dating him, Ogami steps between them, crushing the boy's fist in his grip and declaring that he is still her boyfriend. Ogami's protective instincts aren't romantic. Rather, he sees the shadow of his own daughter in Norin and feels a fatherly duty to protect her. Soon after, a mysterious new transfer student named Shin Kohazame enters the class. Beneath his timid demeanor and intense hyperventilation lies a skilled assassin sent by an underground syndicate. Shin approaches Norin and hand-delivers a love letter, asking to meet in the courtyard. When they meet, Shin inserts a pacifier into his mouth, explaining that sucking on it is the only way he can control his extreme social anxiety. Disgusted by what seems like an insincere joke, Norin delivers a powerful punch straight to Shin's face. Surprisingly, Norin's fiery spirit and brutal honesty cause Shin to fall genuinely in love with her. Determined to win her heart, Shin invokes the official rules of Mitsuoka Pharma and challenges Ogami to a formal duel for the golden fountain pen. With the whole school watching from the balconies, Shin sets the rules. An hour-long survival game where Ogami must avoid having a pacifier forced into his mouth. As the hourglass turns, Shin attacks with terrifying speed and agility, hurling trick pacifiers like lethal projectiles. Ogami is forced to run and dodge through the hallways, art room, and courtyard, carefully holding back his true combat abilities so as not to expose his past as an elite hitman. In a desperate final move, Shin activates a complex wire trap attached to a wooden board with a pacifier aimed directly at Ogami's face. However, Ogami anticipates the trap, having secretly retrieved wood chisels earlier to sever the hidden trigger line. The trap fails, and the final grains of sand drop from the hourglass, declaring Ogami the victor. Shin kneels in defeat, deeply moved by Ogami's immovable resolve to stand by Norin. Ogami reflects on how his protective bond with Norin stems from his deep regret over not being there for his own daughter. Yet, the peace is short-lived. The next day, Shin unexpectedly joins Norin's home economics club, promising to pursue her fairly from now on and guaranteeing that Ogami's school life will remain anything but peaceful. At a scout showcase, scouts and reporters watch in awe as a middle school pitcher named Tenmatendo throws a fastball at insane speeds. His extraordinary physical talents surpass even college players, earning him a reputation as an untouchable prodigy known as the Unicorn. As opening title sequence unfolds, the dynamic lives of former adult hitman Juzo Ogami and his new middle school companions are set against a backdrop of action and school drama. Back in class, the homeroom teacher announces that midterm exams are next week, leading to a temporary pause in club activities. Juzo Ogami takes the upcoming tests so seriously that he emits an intimidating, killer aura, deeply disturbing his classmates who misinterpret his intense focus. The next morning, Norin arrives at school glowing with energy, relieved that exam season keeps prospective suitors away. Her cheerful mood contrasts sharply with Ogami, who staggers and looking like a zombie after pulling an all-nighter to cram for middle school tests. In the cafeteria, an exhausted Ogami struggles through his lunch, while Shin offers him a pacifier to calm his nerves, which Ogami quickly rejects. Later at home, Ogami continues his grueling study routine, despite his assistant Kazuma warning him that he is overdoing it for simple school exams. Seeking a break, Ogami heads out at night toward a lively entertainment district and enters a bar called Bar Jayabamai, run by a flamboyant owner named Nagisa. Norin, who happens to see him, secretly follows him and is horrified to watch a middle school classmate enter a shady nightlife venue. Inside the bar, Nagisa serves Ogami dinner while keeping his true adult identity secret. Soon, his handler Erika joins them, reminding Ogami that unlike his former life as a professional hitman where mistakes meant death, failing a middle school exam is a natural part of growing up. Outside, Norin watches from afar as Ogami exits the bar with Nagisa and Erika, utterly baffled by the sight of her classmate fraternizing with adult venue staff and an attractive older woman. Norin begins to realize that Ogami is far from a normal teenager. When test results are returned, Ogami receives an 81 on his math exam, feeling a sense of modest relief. Watching him from across the room, Norin grows increasingly suspicious of Ogami's mature demeanor and unusual background. Later in home economics class, the club president demonstrates how to properly sew a button onto fabric. Ogami compares the technique to mechanical maintenance, while Norin admits that she too struggles with sewing, bonding with the rest of the club members over their shared learning experience. Walking home together at sunset, Norin expresses how much she appreciates the home economics club. She explains that every member has their own genuine passion, creating a welcoming space free from superficial judgment and gossip. The next day, the home economics club gathers to make rice balls as a supportive gesture for the sports teams. During preparation, the senior members mention Tenma Tendo, a legendary multi-sport athlete sharing their field whose absurd talents have earned him the nickname of the Unicorn. When the club delivers the snacks to the field, Tenma Tendo approaches Norin and Ogami. Brimming with arrogance, Tenma declares that he excels as a star athlete in baseball, soccer, and basketball, and openly demands a showdown to crush Ogami simply because Ogami commands attention without trying. Tenma goes further by mocking the home economics club as a useless playgroup, deeply offending the members. Infuriated by Tenma's disrespect toward his friends, Ogami accepts the challenge, setting up a futsal match in 1 week to defend the club's honor. The baseball coach apologizes to the club for Tenma's behavior, explaining that while Tenma is an inspiring teammate, his overwhelming ego makes him a ruthless villain to anyone he considers a rival. Undeterred, Ogami and his team prepare to face the arrogant prodigy. Norin briefly worries that the conflict centers around her, but quickly realizes Tenma's hostility is directed entirely at Ogami. Wanting to stand up for their shared haven, Shin and Kitu join Ogami's futsal squad, determined to show Tenma the true spirit of the home economics club. The ending sequence highlights the contrasting elements of Ogami's dual life, blending school routine visuals with subtle reminders of his lethal past as a covert hitman. Later that night, Tenma practices on the pitch, admitting to a teammate that Ogami gives him an unsettling feeling he cannot ignore. A week later, both teams gather in the gymnasium. Ogami demands that Tenma formally apologize to the home economics club when he loses, while the overly confident Unicorn smiles, eager to prove his dominance. The futsal match between the home economics club and Tenma's team reaches a critical juncture as the game kicks off. Tenma, a prodigy in multiple sports, immediately shows off his explosive physical prowess. Taking control of the ball, he unleashes a shot so terrifyingly powerful that it completely knocks the goal frame off its anchors. Shin attempts to block the shot, but the impact sends him flying and knocks away his pacifier. Without his pacifier, Shin's usual calm demeanor evaporates, leaving him a trembling, anxious mess on the court. Ogami explains to the rest of the team that Shin suffers from severe anxiety without his pacifier, rendering him completely useless in match play. Realizing the danger, Chisato and the girls rush back to the classroom to retrieve Shin's spare pacifier from his bag. While they race through the school hallways, Shin struggles to hold his ground on the court as Tenma's team presses their advantage. Just as Tenma prepares another strike, Chisato bursts into the gym and launches the spare pacifier across the court with perfect precision. Shin catches it in midair with his mouth, instantly restoring his composure and incredible defensive instincts. With his focus fully restored, Shin executes an astonishing martial arts style save, deflecting Tenma's powerful strike and shocking the entire crowd. As the match resumes, Ogami takes it upon himself to mark Tenma directly. Tenma is surprised to find that Ogami can keep up with his rapid change of pace and precise movements. A flashback reveals Tenma's background, an extraordinarily gifted athlete who usually imposes self-handicaps on himself during casual sports, so he doesn't crush his opponents. However, seeing Ogami's unbelievable reflexes, Tenma decides to remove his mental restrictions and play at full power. Ogami, secretly an elite assassin trapped in a teenager's body, finds himself genuinely enjoying the thrill of a pure physical challenge without life or death stakes. The second half of the match turns into a fierce one-on-one battle between Ogami and Tenma. Ogami reads Tenma's movements perfectly, matching him blow for blow. Pushing his body to the limit, Ogami manages to steal the ball and score an incredible equalizing goal, bringing the score to 1-1. Just as the home EC club celebrates their comeback, Tenma unexpectedly calls for a timeout and surrenders the match. He admits that he injured his leg during his intense collision with Ogami and refuses to risk permanent damage that could compromise his career in official sports. Furthermore, Tenma approaches Chisato and the home EC club members to deliver a sincere apology. He acknowledges that he was wrong to mock their club and expresses genuine gratitude for the delicious food they prepared for him. Impressed by Chisato's kindness as she bandages his injured ankle, Tenma suddenly drops a bombshell. He confesses his love to Chisato in front of the entire club and asks her out. The unexpected confession leaves Chisato hyperventilating in shock, while her protective younger brother grabs a wooden sword and threatens Tenma in a blind rage. Later, as news spreads across the school, the media reports that Tenma is taking a long-term break from sports due to his leg injury. This narrative unintentionally diverts all attention away from Ogami's superhuman performance during the match, successfully preserving Ogami's secret identity. In the end, Ogami comfortably returns to his peaceful routine in the home economics club, making giant rice balls and enjoying the simple high school life he fought so hard to protect. In the dead of night deep within a secluded forest, legendary hitman Ogami, currently trapped in the body of a middle schooler, engages in an intense sparring session with his junior partner Tenma. Despite his reduced physical strength and younger form, Ogami effortlessly disarms Tenma, demonstrating that decades of combat experience and lethal instincts remain intact. Afterwards, as the two drive along a winding highway, Tenma praises his senior's undeniable skills while reminding him to exercise restraint. Revealing his identity or going all out could jeopardize their mission, their income, and Ogami's safety, especially since the young girls from the home economics club are already somewhat suspicious of his true background. The story follows Ogami as he balances his covert life as an elite assassin with the surreal daily challenges of attending middle school alongside his classmates. The following week at school, Chisato approaches Ogami and Norin with a desperate favor. She explains that Tenma has been relentlessly pursuing her, and in order to handle his persistent invitations, she compromised by agreeing to a double date over the weekend, requesting Ogami and Norin to accompany them. Though Norin is exasperated by Chisato's inability to reject Tenma outright, she reluctantly agrees, hoping the outing might shed light on Ogami's mysterious nature. On Saturday morning, Norin and Chisato meet up in the city, but their expectations are immediately shattered when Tenma arrives wearing a bright orange tracksuit, looking as if he is ready for a workout session rather than a romantic date. To make matters worse, Ogami shows up dressed in an ill-fitting brown suit jacket while carrying a leather clutch bag, resembling a middle-aged salaryman attempting to dress up. The girls are utterly dumbfounded by their atrocious fashion choices. Unbeknownst to the girls, Tenma had explicitly warned Ogami back at their apartment that dressing like an old man would instantly ruin his cover, though Ogami had naively assumed a suit would look respectable. Despite the awkward start, the group makes the best of the day by visiting a local cafe, shopping for casual clothes, and heading to a movie theater. Sitting in the dark theater beside Norin, Ogami quietly reflects on his odd situation. Suddenly, an intense physical reaction surges through his chest, triggering an unexpected phenomenon that reverses his youthful condition. In a matter of seconds right inside the dark auditorium, Ogami transforms back into his full-sized, 39-year-old adult body. Overwhelmed by panic and dreading what would happen if the girls saw his adult form, Ogami quickly covers his head with his shirt and bolts into the individual restroom. Staring at his bearded reflection in the mirror, Ogami realizes the catastrophic nature of the situation. Tenma knocks on the door to check on him, prompting Ogami to slap a cat-shaped voice changer chip onto his throat, modifying his voice through a mobile app so he still sounds like a middle schooler. He lies to Tenma, claiming he has a severe stomachache and telling the group to go home without him. However, just as Tenma turns to leave, Chisato's panicked voice echoes down the hallway, crying out that Norin has just been kidnapped. Hearing that Norin is in grave danger, Ogami discards all caution and bursts out of the restroom in his adult form. Spotting Tenma nearby, Ogami instructs him to tightly hug Chisato from behind so her face remains buried in his chest, preventing her from seeing Ogami's face as he dashes past them. Bursting out of the building, Ogami catches sight of a suspicious black van speeding away toward the stadium district. Needing immediate transportation, Ogami commandeers a delivery driver's motorcycle, handing the shocked worker a slip of paper with his phone number and a promise to pay for the vehicle later before speeding off in hot pursuit. Meanwhile, inside the concourse, Tenma comforts a tearful Chisato, who berates him for acting indifferent. Stirred by her tears and her reminder that true friends look out for one another, Tenma apologizes and vows to rescue Norin. Utilizing his incredible physical conditioning, Tenma sprints several kilometers across the city and catches up with Ogami outside a massive sports stadium. Inside the empty arena, they spot Norin tied up on the field, guarded by two hooded assassins from Jardan, the world's premier hitman organization. The attackers are revealed to be the Rindo brothers, Kazuma and Eiji, two elite black-rank assassins despite their young ages. Kazuma calls Ogami's phone to announce his twisted plan, explaining that he intends to use hypnosis on Norin to force her to fall in love with Eiji, making her his brother's bride. Hearing this absurd declaration, Tenma becomes furious, declaring that love must be genuine and that using mind control is an insult to romance. Refusing to yield, Kazuma decides to eliminate them using a golf driver to launch explosive golf balls like long-range artillery shells. The stadium's seating area erupts into massive explosions as Ogami and Tenma scramble across the rows, dodging a relentless barrage of lethal strikes. Realizing that fighting empty-handed against an armed assassin is suicide, Tenma deploys a supply drone equipped with a firearm toward Ogami's location on the upper concourse. However, Kazuma anticipates the trick and shoots the drone out of the sky just as Ogami reaches for it, leaving the weapon crashing onto the floor out of reach. Kazuma corners Ogami at gunpoint, gloating over his victory. Undeterred, Ogami uses the rising smoke from the destroyed drone to kick a heavy metal stanchion into the air, deflecting Kazuma's shot and creating an opening to grab his handgun. Reclaiming his weapon, the veteran assassin stands tall in his adult form, fully prepared to unleash his true strength and crush the kidnappers. In the intense confrontation inside the stadium complex, Kazuma fires a precise shot that neutralizes an incoming threat, disarming his opponent in an instant. despite the enemy's willingness to cause massive destruction without regard for innocent bystanders. Kazuma remains steadfast in his rule never to involve ordinary people in his fights. When a security guard stumbles into the danger zone, the enemy attempts to exploit Kazuma's moral code by opening fire in a way that forces Kazuma to intercept the bullet mid-air, saving the civilian at the cost of giving away his tactical advantage. To protect his true identity from being exposed during the standoff, Kazuma quickly improvises the absurdly tragic cover story on the fly over his comms, claiming to be the illegitimate child of the legendary hitman Juzo Ogami seeking revenge. Unexpectedly, this outrageous tale touches a soft spot in the purple-haired assassin, who breaks down in tears over how tough life in the underworld can be. After sharing a snippet of his own backstory and his connection to his brother, the assassin turns cold once more. Pulling out his signature lighter, he activates a widespread hypnotic spell. Through phone signals and visual triggers, he turns the massive crowd of civilians outside into a mindless horde, directing them to swarm Kazuma and his allies. Meanwhile, at the soccer field inside the stadium, Tenma encounters the other brother, a massive assassin wielding explosive golf clubs. Refusing to flee, Tenma draws on his supreme athletic instincts, using a cart of soccer balls to kick high-speed counterattacks against the deadly golf shots, determined to test his limits in this life-or-death duel. The athletic clash escalates into a barrage of explosive projectiles. Even amidst the chaos, the enemy carefully protects Norin's unconscious body from debris, showing that their primary goal remains securing her unharmed. Back outside, Kazuma finds himself surrounded by the hypnotized crowd, but refuses to use lethal force against innocents. Locating a nearby fire truck, he commandeers the high-pressure water hose, blasting the crowd to wash away their hypnotic state without inflicting serious harm. However, the purple-haired assassin uses the confusion to approach disguised as Kazuma's friend, placing Kazuma under a post-hypnotic suggestion that prevents him from aiming a weapon directly at him. Undeterred, the assassin takes a hostage, believing he has secured total victory. Kazuma calmly surrenders his handgun, but advises his opponent to brace himself. Moments later, a bullet drops directly from the sky, detonating an explosive charge on a nearby stretcher and blasting the assassin into the air, allowing Kazuma to deliver a decisive knockout blow. The falling projectile was none other than the stray bullet Kazuma had calculatedly fired straight into the air minutes earlier, using pure trajectory calculation and decades of combat experience to turn an impossible situation into a flawless triumph. Ogami sprints through the stadium corridors at full speed, desperate to reach Norin before she wakes up from her trance. Meanwhile, deep within her subconscious, Norin experiences a surreal, chaotic dream set in a damaged ramen shop, reflecting her confused state of mind. Back on the field, Kazuma Golf Assassin communicates with Tenma by writing messages on a sketchpad. He reveals that while he has no desire to kill anyone, his duty to protect his injured older brother leaves him with no choice. Touched by Kazuma's devotion, Tenma realizes the emotional weight behind his enemy's actions. Moments later, Ogami arrives and casually mentions that he has already handled Kazuma's older brother. Hearing the word, handled, Kazuma mistakenly assumes his brother has been killed and snaps into a blind, furious rage. He unleashes an overwhelming storm of golf ball projectiles across the stadium. Realizing they cannot dodge or deflect forever, Tenma decides to step up. He recalls his past soccer training, remembering a devastating bullet-like kick known as the Euro spin shot, a technique that imitates the spiral rotation of a rifle bullet to maximize speed and piercing power. Channeling all his energy, Tenma executes the Euro spin shot. The soccer ball tears through the air like an artillery shell, smashing straight through Kazuma's barrage and striking him with incredible force, knocking him unconscious and ending the fight. With the threat neutralized, Ogami and Tenma catch their breath. However, Norin begins to stir. As she opens her eyes, the post-hypnotic suggestion takes effect. She falls head over heels in love with the first person she sees, which happens to be Ogami. She immediately throws her arms around him in a passionate embrace. For Ogami, who is secretly a middle-aged hitman trapped in a teenager's body, this romantic attention triggers a severe mental breakdown. Realizing Norin is the exact same age as his actual daughter, he experiences overwhelming guilt and psychological trauma. When Norin attempts to confess her feelings, Ogami panics and swiftly chops her on the neck, knocking her unconscious once again to halt the confession. Tenma screams in disbelief, bewildered by Ogami's extreme overreaction toward the girl they just rescued. Soon after, Kazuma regains consciousness and tearfully kneels on the grass, begging Ogami and Tenma to spare his brother's life. Ogami reassures him that his brother is alive and unharmed, clearing up the tragic misunderstanding. As police sirens echo outside the stadium, Kazuma offers to take full responsibility for the damage, promising to use his hypnosis to cover up the incident so Ogami, Tenma, and Norin can escape safely. Moved by Kazuma's genuine care for his family, Tenma encourages him to abandon the hitman lifestyle and return to a normal school life alongside his brother. While Kazuma uses his lighter hypnosis to disorient the arriving officers, Ogami carries Norin to safety, meeting up with Kotatsu in the nearby park. Kotatsu gently comforts the group and helps care for Norin as the tense night finally comes to a close. The next morning, Ogami walks to school reading his math textbook, reflecting on the weekend's chaotic battles. Though the immediate danger has passed, a new challenge awaits him. Norin remains under the love spell, completely obsessed with him, facing a relentless, head-over-heels schoolmate while trying to maintain his disguise. Ogami realizes his school life is about to become more complicated than ever. A news broadcast reports on recent developments surrounding a stadium explosion and political donations, while students at school gossip about Ogami's involvement in a kidnapping rescue. Unaware of the growing rumors, Ogami arrives at school focused on studying. However, he quickly notices Norin acting extremely flustered and lurking around the lockers. Realizing she is under the influence of Kazuma's intense love hypnosis, Ogami decides to keep his distance to prevent further complications. In the classroom, Shinobu confronts Ogami over the romantic rumors circulating between him and Norin. When Norin approaches him with a nervous greeting, Ogami panics and blurts out an absurd excuse before fleeing the room. Meanwhile, Tenma listens to Shin's report about Ogami's situation and bursts into uncontrollable laughter. They transition to discussing the deeper mystery behind the synthetic bee created by Mitsuoka and Harridan's covert intelligence. During lunch, Norin attempts to join Ogami, prompting him to swallow his food whole and run away once again. Later in class, he tries to lay low, but two female classmates trap him in the hallway after being bribed with pudding. Norin steps forward and passionately declares her overwhelming feelings, leaving Ogami no choice but to use his superhuman martial arts speed to break free. Undeterred, Norin pursues him relentlessly through the school hallways with terrifying athletic skill. As Ogami attempts to hide across various classrooms, Norin spots him from an upper balcony. In a desperate display of obsession, she grabs a school banner and paraglides down to the courtyard, landing dramatically in front of him. She announces that if he runs, she will hunt him down, and if she catches him, he must date her for real. Ogami convinces her to talk somewhere private, leading her up to the roof. There, he tries to explain that their fake relationship was only meant to deter unwanted suitors. When Norin breaks down crying, claiming she cannot control her intense feelings, Ogami realizes he must give her a clear rejection to break the spell. He formally tells her he cannot return her feelings, but Norin casually responds that life is meaningless without him. At that moment, Ogami receives a phone call from an unknown number. It is Kazuma, calling from Yokohama Chinatown. Ogami angrily demands that Kazuma lift the hypnosis immediately, describing Norin's dangerous emotional instability. Kazuma explains that he placed a heavy affection spell on her, causing her to fall obsessively in love with the first person she saw upon waking. He agrees to undo the trance on the condition that Ogami brings Norin to a Yokohama amusement park by 5 o'clock. Taking advantage of the extra time before their meeting, Ogami accompanies Norin on a train ride to Yokohama and visits the Cup Noodle Museum. When Ogami casually describes instant ramen as cheap food, Norin takes offense and delivers a passionate lecture on the history and engineering behind instant noodles. They watch an educational short film and participate in a workshop where they make custom cup noodles. Norin creates an ultra-spicy version named Love Noodle as an expression of her intense feelings and insists Ogami eat it immediately. With time ticking away toward 5 o'clock, Ogami forces himself to swallow the scalding, hyper-spicy noodles to avoid upsetting her. Sweating profusely, Ogami accompanies her to Yokohama Cosmo World, arriving just before 5. Norin suggests riding the Ferris wheel, and when Ogami hesitates over entering an enclosed space with her, she becomes visibly distressed, forcing him to agree. Inside the gondola at sunset, the movement of the ride causes Norin to lose her balance. Ogami catches her, leaving them in an intimate embrace. Blushing, Norin closes her eyes and leans in for a kiss, thrusting Ogami into a moral dilemma. Rejecting her could trigger a suicidal breakdown, but kissing a middle schooler would mean social ruin. Drawing on his legendary assassin skills, Ogami covertly uses a hidden pin tool to pick the gondola's door lock from inside. The sudden opening of the door startles Norin and ruins the romantic mood, keeping her safe until the ride reaches the ground. As they step off the gondola, Kazuma, disguised as park staff, flicks his heart-shaped Zippo lighter in front of Norin, triggering the countercommand that breaks the hypnotic spell. Norin collapses onto a nearby bench, unconscious. Kazuma and Harridan approach Ogami, explaining that the hypnosis has been completely removed for both Norin and Ogami. Kazuma admits that after their previous battle, he respects Ogami's true power and prefers to defeat him fairly in the future rather than relying on cheap tricks. Later that evening, Norin wakes up on the bench with no memory of her obsessive behavior. Confused as to why they are in Yokohama, she asks Ogami what happened. Ogami tests her reaction by asking if she likes him, and Norin responds with genuine disgust, stating she only views him as a normal friend. Overwhelmed with relief, Ogami cries tears of joy, grateful that her normal personality has finally returned. In a world where elite assassins hide in plain sight, Ogami Juzo, a middle-aged hitman turned middle schooler, finds his temporary peaceful school life suddenly disrupted by an influx of dangerously skilled operatives from rival syndicates. The tranquility of Class 3B vanishes when a massive new transfer student named Eiji Rindo arrives. Ogami recognizes him immediately as a member of Harden, the industry's top assassin organization. To make matters worse, Eiji is not the only operative undercover at the school, prompting Ogami to take action before chaos breaks out. Realizing the danger of having multiple hitmen under one roof, Ogami calls an urgent summit on the school rooftop. Gathering Shin Kohazame from Uigan, the Rindo brothers, and representing Zou himself, Ogami desperately begs everyone to maintain peace and avoid any conflicts that could ruin their covers. However, old grudges quickly surface as Shin Kohazame refuses to play nice, holding a grudge against Eiji over a past target. After Eiji effortlessly blocks Shin's sudden strike, Shin turns his frustration onto Ogami, criticizing him for failing to protect Norin from a recent kidnapping attempt and vowing to protect her himself. Shin's devotion quickly crosses into bizarre obsession. He waits for Norin at her locker, pre-warming her shoes and dramatically swatting away insects. When he insists on guarding her 24 hours a day, including while she bathes and sleeps, Norin panics, utterly horrified by his extreme behavior. Ogami logs the summit's disastrous results, noting that the hitmen are at each other's throats and Shin has become a full-blown stalker. Shortly after, an upperclassman named Mei Tameda approaches Ogami, deeply frustrated that everyone treats her like a tiny, helpless pet because of her petite stature. Determined to earn respect, Mei reveals her plan to build massive shoulders using heavy dumbbells. She asks Ogami to introduce her to Tenma Tendo, the school's star athlete with ultimate physical strength, hoping he can give her advice on how to transform her physique. When they approach Tenma in the gymnasium, he recognizes Mei from the home economics club, but bluntly tells her that bulking up won't stop people from treating her as cute, adding that she would still be easily knocked out. Heartbroken by his harsh reality check, Mei sulks on the roof until Ogami offers to take her to his aunt's bar after school to cheer her up. Ogami introduces Mei to Bar Jabami, run by Mama Jujuro, a legendary former assassin who now operates a cozy bar. Jujuro listens compassionately to Mei's insecurities and kindly tells her that he envies her natural, delicate beauty, encouraging her to appreciate the unique charm she already possesses. The warm moment is interrupted when two rowdy, intoxicated men barge in and patronize Mei. Unleashing a terrifying surge of raw hitman aura, Jujuro grabs one by the face and effortlessly handles the situation before escorting Ogami and Mei out. Though shaken by the display of strength, Mei feels her spirit renewed and enthusiastically hits the weights back at school. Excitement fills the home economics room as the club hosts a team-based ramen championship. Norin is supremely confident due to her experience at a ramen shop, but Shin Kohazame joins the competition, boasting that his traditional Chinese syndicate heritage gives him unmatched culinary authority. He serves ultra-thick Biangbiang noodles, but they prove so heavy that the judge snaps her chopsticks trying to lift them, earning a 0 score. Mocking Shin's defeat, Norin raises the stakes by wagering that Shin must stop stalking her if her team wins. She presents a monstrous, overloaded ramen chimera stacked high with toppings, but its terrifying calorie count brings the judge to tears, resulting in another 0 score. Later that night, a bloated Ogami stumbles home after eating too much ramen and spots a girl reading while walking directly into the path of an oncoming truck, diving in to save her at the last second. After pushing the girl to safety, Ogami's extreme nausea forces him to sprint off to vomit before he can explain himself. The next day, the same girl appears at school as the guest judge for the final ramen round. Stressed by the pressure, she suddenly falls asleep on the floor, only to wake up seconds later having transformed into a confident, tanned personality. As chaotic new rivalries, strange stalker antics, and mysterious personalities collide, Ogami's life as an undercover student hitman grows more unpredictable by the day. Balancing schoolwork, hitman politics, and eccentric classmates, he prepares for whatever dangerous challenges lie ahead. Mai Otoheim, known as an embodiment of the sea, is a prodigy in every marine sport imaginable, winning every competition she enters while possessing expert knowledge in oceanography and navigation. Her only apparent flaw is her complete lack of gills. Upon entering the classroom, she makes her presence known with a bold splash of confidence. The story of Juzo Ogami continues as he navigates the bizarre reality of being a legendary middle-aged hitman who was transformed back into a 13-year-old middle school student, balancing chaotic classroom drama with his lethal past. Inside the home economics kitchen, Mai Otoheim drops in unexpected, admitting that her presence as a ramen judge wasn't a coincidence. She explains that she came with a specific purpose, but ended up hesitating in the hallway until someone called out to her. Checking her phone, Mai breaks down the regulations of the official Mitsuoka duel. Since the rules state that the contest determines Norin's boyfriend, Mai points out that if she wins, Juzo loses his status, though she herself cannot legally claim him under the current agreement. Without warning, she lunges forward and tightly embraces Juzo, boldly demanding that he go out with her, sending shockwaves through everyone watching. The classroom erupts in disbelief as Norin reacts with absolute fury. However, Juzo remains remarkably composure-bound and plainly rejects Mai, explaining that his situation prevents him from dating anyone. Far from being discouraged, Mai becomes ecstatic, falling even deeper for his cool and blunt honesty, declaring that she will never give up. Unwilling to let another girl continuously pursue her fake fiancé, Norin steps in and directly challenges Mai to a duel. Norin argues that if she wins, Mai must stop bothering Juzo once and for all, turning the situation into an intense personal rivalry. Mai eagerly accepts Norin's condition, officially setting the terms. If Mai wins, she gets to take Juzo for herself. She selects surfing as the battleground, confident in her unmatched aquatic skills, and sets the match to take place during the upcoming school event. Realizing the massive skill gap between Norin and a marine sports prodigy, the members of the Home Economics Club gather to brainstorm. Since the school's founding anniversary creates a 3-day weekend, the senior members propose an immediate training camp at the beach to prepare Norin for the surfing showdown. Later that night at his apartment, Juzo brews a cup of coffee while reflecting on the recent string of chaotic events. His housemate and former hitman subordinate, Nakota, observes that Juzo seems significantly softer and kinder than he used to be back when he was an active assassin, leaving Juzo to ponder his own subtle changes. The next day at school, the atmosphere is heavy with anticipation over the upcoming three-way parent-teacher conferences. Shin Kohazame hangs around near the lockers waiting for Norin, while other classmates exchange nervous chatter about their families showing up. In the hallway, Juzo meets up with his stitched-face hitman companion who communicates strictly by drawing on a sketchpad. Despite his intimidating appearance, his impressive sketching skills instantly charm the female classmates, who beg him to draw a realistic cat portrait. Suddenly, Nakoda makes a dramatic entrance, fully dressed in women's clothing and makeup, claiming to be Juzo's mother for the conference. Juzo is completely horrified by Nakoda's bizarre and unconvincing disguise, realizing that this reckless plan might cause more trouble than it solves. During the official interview, the homeroom teacher discusses Juzo's academic standing, noting that while his grades and conduct are fine, he occasionally acts like an old man, fully committed to his role. Nakoda acts like a boisterous mother, handing out candies to classmates and aggressively slapping Juzo on the back whenever he tries to object. After surviving the awkward conference, Juzo and Nakoda walk into the hallway where they encounter Norin and her mother, a strikingly elegant foreign woman. The two mothers exchange polite greetings, while Juzo tries his best to maintain his composure and conceal Nakoda's true identity. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm golden glow over the campus, Juzo stands alone on the upper balcony looking out at the skyline. He contemplates the contrast between his past life as a killer and the vibrant futures that lie ahead for his young classmates, who are actively deciding their paths in life. Hango joins him by the railing and speaks candidly about her own career interview. She explains that unlike those who have fixed dreams early on, she prefers to keep her options open through high school and college, viewing education as a way to expand future possibilities rather than locking oneself into a single goal too soon. Hango's mature perspective deeply resonates with Juzo, making him realize that he doesn't necessarily have to return to being an assassin once his body reverts. Overwhelmed by the realization that he too might have a choice in his future, a single tear slips down his cheek, prompting a light-hearted poke from Hango just as Norin joins them. Shaking off his melancholy, Juzo feels a newfound sense of purpose. He resolves to enjoy his second chance at youth, protect the peaceful everyday life he has built with his friends, and face whatever challenges come next during the upcoming ocean training camp. The episode concludes with the stylish ending sequence highlighting the dual nature of Juzo's life as both a middle schooler and a hardened warrior, culminating in an official announcement confirming that the story will continue in a second season.